Hi, this is Joseph. In this video, I'm going to review a recent trade here on the pound dollar. This is a 30-minute time frame. I'll walk you through the idea behind this trade, what caused me to get into the trade, what I was looking for, how I trade it. This will answer some questions if you're considering using the trade copier. Primarily, the question is, how do I trade? What kind of system am I using? Do I know what I'm doing? Today is March 31st, so if you want to go back, if you're looking at this video at some point in the time in the future and you want to go back and take a look at it. So again, this is the pound dollar. This is a 30-minute chart. I primarily look at bar charts. I do alternate and go back and forth between candlesticks and bar charts, but I prefer to use bar charts for obvious reasons. I mentioned why in many videos, but I'll walk you through the strategy here with this one. And on certain days like today, we've watched both the pound dollar, the euro dollar move in relatively tight ranges of consolidation during the New York session. So there's going to be fewer trade opportunities, so you have to be very patient. You have to wait for one particular setup. And this one here is a strategy. You can see this shaded gray area right here. This strategy is known as, or this concept is pushing up through areas of supply. So that's exactly what I'm looking at. We obviously can see that we're in a short-term or relatively short-term uptrend relative to this time frame. But in order for me to identify this trade, in some cases, I have to go down, a time frame or perhaps even all the way down to a 5-minute to be able to see it clearly. So the concept here, this idea of trading and pushing, watching price push up through areas of supply, what we're basically looking at is psychology. It's trader psychology. So I'm going to grab the crosshairs here and you're going to see that back over here to the left, we had sort of a bounce and kind of a double bottom, big, strong, ultra high range bar right here on the 30-minute chart yesterday. So that in some cases could put a lot of people into the trade. They're expecting more. And then they get trapped in a situation like this where it drops down. Now this move right here and this retest of support, that was pretty considerable. Sometimes it'll go 70, 80 pips, and that's enough to knock out some people, traders that are using a relatively tight stop. So you have to be aware of the conditions. And then it, resumes and comes back up, and then it doesn't go anywhere, right? So all these people that are holding onto a position like this, if they don't close out the trade, they're hoping to get out of the position with as little damage as possible. They're hoping that price will come back up and perhaps make them whole again and they can get out at either break even. But then when it starts to tick up a little bit higher and they're up 2, 3, 4, 5 pips or points, they hold on to the trade a little bit more. We get another pullback and then it kind of moves right through and then they get stuck again. And then it starts to go sideways. The longer that happens, the less patient people become. You've got another 24 hours of time and people are holding onto this position and it's not going anywhere. And back when I first started trading back in 2000, I did the same thing. I didn't understand these concepts. I didn't understand what was going on and I didn't understand what the smart money was doing. These are also known as smart money tactics. You have to be aware of the psychology behind most of the traders that are holding onto these positions, but you have to be able to identify these areas where people are likely to get in, and you can see it here clearly with this ultra high range bar and this sort of double bottom pattern right here, and then you can see the bounce. So a lot of people would be looking for something like that. If I switch to a candlestick, you can see it was a really nice high ranged bullish engulfing candle that was engulfing all of the previous candles. So it looks like a really good opportunity and then it doesn't go anywhere, right? It just kind of rolls right over. So you know that a lot of people are sort of trapped in here if they're still holding on to that position. Now at some point it's going to blast through these areas and here it creates another area of supply. So in order for me to trade that today, I had to go down to a 5-minute bar chart and it's going to start making much more sense if I switch that. So now we're looking at a 5-minute. I'm going to go to a bar chart and you can see this area of supply. Again, it started to move higher. People are getting into this trade going long again. They're thinking that that support low from yesterday is holding and then it rolls over and comes back down and tests. And this pair is notorious for doing this. It doesn't do it every day, but this is a pattern that happens pretty consistently. I don't see it as often with the euro dollar. And then you get all of this choppy behavior. Now, along the way, I noticed that this starts to look like and show signs of reaccumulation. Reaccumulation, I won't go too much into depth on that one, but I'm noticing that these these lows are getting higher and higher on these pullbacks, and it's starting to hold. And at some point, in order for me to get a good confirmed signal, I'm going to be looking for something that looks like a spring. And that happened right here. very often what happens with these springs is price will take out the lows, and that's a head fake. That's a head fake where a lot of people start thinking, okay, it's not going to go any higher, and then they start shorting their positions, and or it starts knocking out all of these stops along the way. Again, it's just a trap. It's a smart money tactic, and then it reverses and comes back up, and I'm still waiting for price to blast through this area of supply, to push up through this area of supply. And this is exactly where it showed up here on the 5-minute bar chart. So I was able to get into this trade and take a relatively realistic profit target. Now, I say that quite a bit, and some people will say, okay, well, what does that mean? What is your profit target on something like this? Well, I know where my stop is. I'm going to put a relatively tight stop on something like this, because if I'm wrong, I want to know right away. But again, realistic profit targets would be either psychological levels or paying attention to signs that it's topping out, and let the market tell me when it's just not going to go any higher. So I figured that it was probably going to top out right around the 70 area. The 1.3170 area was my target. So somewhere along the way, I'm going to end up locking in profits, and this produced a pretty good, decent trade. It was relatively small on a day like today. It wasn't 80 pips, 90 pips, 100 pips, and it wasn't anything that I could use my point and figure charts to calculate some kind of far off target where I could expect a big massive move. If you look at the daily time frame, things look pretty consolidated on the daily time frame. So I couldn't expect much anyway, because it looked like we were sort of trading inside of yesterday's trading range. That's also a clue when I'm looking at the larger time frame that I can't expect too much out of this move anyway, and I got to be quick. So again, this is the area of supply that I was watching. I knew that at some point, people that were holding on to this trade since yesterday were going to be more than happy to take this trade. Now, smart money needs price to blast through this area, and it's sort of a trick, right? If it ends up looking slow, like you see here, where it just kind of bounces around, and then you see it again here, this looks like a relatively slow trading range in here, and it's not showing any aggressive ultra high range bars pushing and blasting right through this area of supply. If it looks like this where I'm moving my cursor, well, then the inexperienced traders are probably going to let go of their position and start selling to get out of their position, or selling at this area of resistance. And that's exactly the opposite of what smart money wants if they're expecting higher prices. In order for them to trade and get more out of the trade. And this is also, by the way, if this was to be taking place on a larger time frame, like let's say a daily or weekly or monthly, this would be an area or an opportunity where smart money would be loading up or adding more to their position, expecting higher prices. That's what we're seeing. So one of the telltale signs of this actually being the smart money play, or smart money traders identifying this area right here, you need to be able to learn this to be able to trade this, to be able to trade it on days like this. But it's, again, the psychology behind who's trading it. The inexperienced traders are the ones that are holding. It's the smart money that's creating this opportunity. So back to what I was saying, in order to fool the inexperienced traders into holding onto their position, when price comes back up and makes them whole again, or they see a little bit of profits, smart money wants this trade, or wants price to move aggressively and fast right through this area of resistance. You'll see let me go ahead and open it up. You'll see that these bars are ultra high range bars compared to a lot of the others, and it just starts to move really quick right through that area of supply. Again, the people that were holding since yesterday, they go from perhaps being negative to maybe at break even, and then in the blink of an eye, you can see that this is a 5-minute bar. In the blink of an eye, all of a sudden they're up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 pips, and then they take their hands off the mouse and they're holding, and they're trying to now turn a losing position into something that they could close and be happy about, even though they had to hold on to it for another 24 hours. Again, inexperienced traders don't know what's going on. The experienced smart money trader understands this concept and can identify what's going on and can trade. So the entry is when you see these ultra high range bars start to blast right through this area of resistance. Again, you know that the smart money wants to see higher prices as quick as possible so that the inexperienced traders do not close their position. This is what it looked like when I was using volume. Here's my volume. This is actually pound futures. So I'll open this up and you can see again the same pattern as this ultra high range bar starts to move right in and through, and then it really accelerates and takes off right through that area of supply. That's exactly how I traded that today. Again, this is one of the concepts that I use. I've been doing this for 22 years. Again, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to learn how to trade like this. like a smart money trader. But if you're struggling and you want some assistance, that would be the perfect time or the perfect reason to use my trade copier. My trade copier service allows me to trade these opportunities for you. You do not have to execute these trades. I will trade them for you. I just wanted to share this with you. Again, I got out of the trade and I'm not holding onto this trade as it slides back down. I have realistic profit targets on my intraday trades for day trading, and I get in and get out usually in the same trading session. Very often, a lot of my day trades, they'll take anywhere from 30 minutes to maybe 3 or 4 hours. It really depends on the market activity, but you can see that this one was a lot faster than most of the trades, but that's it. You know what I mean? You can see how price kind of comes right back down to this level. I knew that it wasn't really going to go too far. Looking at the daily time frame, there was no trending market in place, at least relatively in these more current, more recent time frames that we're looking at, like the 30-minute and the 1-hour charts. So you have to be realistic about your take profit levels. Thanks for watching. Again, if you're interested in the trade copier, go ahead and click the button below this video or go to the purchase page, the subscription page of my website. It takes 15 minutes or less to connect your account, and then I can start executing trades just like this for you every day.